We are no strangers to the 11th generation Honda Civic. In fact, we have featured one every single year, almost every single trim, over the last few years since it arrived at showrooms. But one iteration we have not seen yet, or at least experienced, is the Sport Hatchback Hybrid. Now, for a car at its price point, for a car in this market, it just might have it all. And in fact, it might be a little bit better than my car of the year last year, which was the Sport Touring Hybrid Sedan. In today's video, we're going to check out what the Sport Hatchback Hybrid is going to provide us for 2026. We're going to take a good long look at the exterior, the interior, take it out for a very quick test drive, and see why, if you're looking at buying an affordable, efficient, and fun daily driver under $40,000, then maybe taking a look at the Honda Civic Sport Hatchback Hybrid might be a great decision. Now, before we get in this video, I want to give a huge shout and thank you to Atamian Honda here in Tewksbury, Massachusetts, for letting me come down here once again to check out the Honda Civic. Their link will be in the description below, so you can check out their extensive Honda inventory. So as always, let's begin with that pricing. For the 2026 Honda Civic Hatchback Hybrid Sport we have today, that's a mouthful, you're looking at a starting cost of just under $30,500. Now, with taxes and fees included, you're looking at a grand total of $32,000, which really isn't that bad for a base model for 2026. Now, we also have the optional Boost Blue paint color, which comes in at $450. I think that's worth the price of admission, especially with the gloss black trim and the gloss black 18-inch alloy wheels, which we'll talk about later on in this video. This is a nice setup to have here, but maybe you're looking for more of a lower profile appearance to your Honda Civic. Now, for 2026, you can go with the sedan or hatchback. But what is one thing you notice about this car? I'll give you a second. It's the fact that you really can't tell from certain angles if it is a sedan or hatchback. I love that. I love the fact that they have been very discreet with their hatchback models over the last two generations, whether it was a 10th or 11th, because from the rear face, you can tell you had that sportback rear end. But up front though, it looks the exact same as that sedan model. I like that small touch. Now up front, you are going to receive LED headlights here, but that isn't the main highlight. It's the fact you are going to have a honeycomb mesh grille for both the top and bottom. Very aggressive. In some ways, kind of looks like an SI from far away. And you're all going to have functional side air curtains. Now, from certain angles, you can't tell that, but you're going to have better airflow here to this car. It makes it look very aerodynamic and aggressive. Look at that wide mouth here to the Honda Civic. Love it. Then as you make your way over to the side profile, you are going to have those 18-inch alloy wheels in a gloss black finish. Now, for a small car like this, sometimes going with 18s will diminish the ride quality and will give you a lot more road noise. With this generation, you are going to have a lot more refinement and rigidity to this car, and I don't think that's going to be too much of an issue here. Also, with the 18-inch wheels, it goes so well with the Boost Blue paint color. I love it. Whether you go blue or red, this is the way to go for this particular trim. Now, you are going to have gloss black side mirror caps, no turn signal indicators though. However, you are going to have blind spot detection for added safety, so really nice. Then as you make your way around to the back, you are not going to have full LED taillights. There are options in the aftermarket where you can go full LED, but what you have here off the assembly line is still going to give you a nice modern look. I love the fact you're going to have the LED taillight design that runs the length of the rear fascia. Very sporty, very aggressive. You're gonna have gloss black trim for the Civic badge and of course the Sport badge. Love that. And then to let you know you bought a hybrid, it's right there on the hatch. Now, best of all, you are not gonna have visible exhaust outlets, giving you more of a sleek and cleaner appearance. And I really like the fact this does not have a traditional hatchback design. I think the Sportback look fits this car very well, and I think it looks very aggressive too. But let me know what you think. And while we're taking a look at the rear fascia, might as well check out the cargo area for the 2026 Honda Civic Hatchback and what it's going to be offering us. Now, as expected, you are not going to receive a power liftgate. But inside, behind the second row seats, you are looking at a staggering 24.5 cubic feet of room. To put that into perspective, forget about the hatchbacks on the market under $40,000. This is almost identical to a Honda HR-V, Kia Seltos, Hyundai Kona. This is better than the Subaru Crosstrek and Mazda CX-30. This is incredible. This is amazing. If you're someone who doesn't want a crossover, you don't need the all-wheel drive system, you don't even need the ground clearance, you're looking for a small car because you park on city streets or you live in the city, this is going to be a great car for your lifestyle. Now, I don't even need to really talk about the fact that I was able to fit all my camera gear today, because you can easily store 9, 10, possibly 12 bags of luggage and still have enough more wiggle room for other goodies as well if you're going on a road trip with the family. This car not only is practical, but flexible, and is keeping the small car market alive right here, because there's no excuse. Sure, you want a crossover because of the all-wheel drive system or that ground clearance, but practicality is not a reason why you're going to overlook the Civic Hatchback. Now, obviously, you can lower the second row seats to maximize that cargo area, but if you have kids in the second row and you're going on a grocery run, you can easily put all your groceries back here and not feel cramped or claustrophobic. That is what's so huge about this car right now. Powering the Honda Civic hybrid we have today is a 2-liter hybrid 4-cylinder engine, which gets a lot of people excited, by the way, including myself, producing 200 horsepower and 232 pound-feet of torque. Think about that, 232 pound-feet of torque out of a Civic. Now, when you take a look at the numbers, this is the most powerful Civic to ever be made that doesn't wear the Type R badge. That's including the SI. It might actually be more exhilarating than the SI, which that might be a bit controversial to say. But you're going to receive a number of benefits here with this car, not only performance-wise, but also with that fuel economy. You're looking at right on 50 miles per gallon in the city and 45 miles per gallon on the highway, which is just incredible. So if you're someone looking for fuel efficiency, you want that electrification, but you also want a car that's fun to drive as well, the Honda Civic has you covered there. Hopping aside the Honda Civic Hatchback Sport, this is where I think some of you might be surprised, or maybe some of you might be a bit more disappointed and you want to go with the Sport Touring Hybrid, which is fully understandable, by the way, because the Sport Touring Hybrid is one heck of a car right now in the 2020s. But with these seats, they are going to be manually adjustable for both the driver and passenger. Cloth upholstery, however, they are heated, which is great to see. They are a bit firm, I'm going to be honest. They are firm, but the bolstering and support does fit the moniker that we have on the back of this car with that Sport badge. So you are going to have somewhat of a sportier experience to this car when you hop inside for the first time, which I actually like. I know some people might not like it because they're looking for comfort, and I think if that is going to be your top priority out of this car, go with that Sport Touring Hybrid, even though it is going to be coming at a premium cost. But that would be the direction I would push you in if you really like what this generation is providing. Now, you are going to have a leather wrap steering wheel, which feels really nice in the hands, aggressive 10 and 2 and firm 9 and 3 grips. There are paddle shifters here, but they're not going to be to rotate the gears yourself because there are no gears here for this car. It's to adjust the regen braking. Now, in front of you will be a half digital, half analog gauge cluster. We have gone over this gauge cluster numerous times, so I'm not going to bore you today with what we have here for this screen, but you can customize everything to your liking and also adjust certain safety features and also maintenance, and you can scroll through vehicle settings, you can customize the display. This is actually a very in-depth screen for what it is. Now, of course, higher trims are going to give you more of an immersive experience, but I think for somewhat of a base trim for 2026, this is going to give you more than enough, especially if you're not tech focused. Now, as you make your way over to the infotainment system though, this is where I'm really surprised. I had to do a double take when I was looking at the features for this car, because you're still going to have a 7-inch touchscreen with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto compatibility. But the Honda HR-V, which is built on the exact same platform as the Civic, gets a 9-inch touchscreen. And I have no idea why the 7-inch display is still standard, because a 9-inch screen is just a bit better, a bit more immersive, and at least feels the part for a car coming in at over 30 grand. However, what we have here today is going to be more than enough for a lot of you just looking for the bare necessities. At the bottom of the screen will be quick access icons for your phone, radio, media, and your Bluetooth Connect. Also, you have a back button and menu button, and then you will have physical dials for the volume and tuning. A very tactile experience, which is kind of refreshing here in the 2020s. Now, you are going to have a rear backup camera with trajectory, which again is pretty cool here. Some manufacturers don't give you that. You're going to have a multi-angle rear view as well. So there will be what I call the bumper cam. So if you are parking on city streets or in a garage, you're not backing into the car behind you. Also, you will get a 180-degree view as well, giving you better visibility. Now, as you make your way down towards the center console, this is the best aspect about this car, regardless of trim. It's the fact that Honda really focused on the smaller details for the dashboard. Yes, it's gloss black trim, but look at the way it extends. You have like this nice honeycomb mesh grille here, and it just has a really nice design, and it makes it feel like a premium experience, which I absolutely love out of the Honda brand. For a vehicle that is going to be mainstream and seen as cheap transportation, it doesn't feel that way for the interior, which I really like. But it does get even better because you are going to have physical buttons and dials for your dual zone climate control. That is right, dual zone climate control here for the Sport. Buttons for your 3-level heated seats up front. Then, of course, your AC, AC, front and rear defrosters, fan speed, and fan direction. That is all right here. And it has a nice sound to it too when you use those dials. I can get used to that. I need some ASMR for this. Now, as you continue on, beneath that, you are going to find 2 USB-C inputs, a 12-volt outlet, then a cubby for a smartphone. Now, you're not going to have a wireless phone charging pad here, but that is available on higher trim, so keep that in mind. Now, as you make your way towards the center console itself, what I like is that this is not gloss black trim. It actually is a material that I think is going to survive the years of abuse and years of use, which I think is what I think a lot of people are looking for right now. You're going to have a traditional gear shifter here, which feels really nice in the hands, by the way. And then here you're going to find your drive mode selector. So from here you have Sport, Normal, and Eco. If you're looking to maximize that fuel efficiency, stay in Eco, but Sport mode can be rather exhilarating. You have 2 cup holders here, and then your electronic parking brake and auto vehicle hold. Then for the standard storage compartment, pretty deep here, relatively speaking, enough room for a couple wallets, smartphones, other tech gadgets, and there will be a tray for some loose change. And then to round out the front seating area, above is a power moonroof, which brings in a lot of natural light to the interior. Now for passengers in the second row, this one aspect is going to get overlooked, but I have to bring it up. You're looking at right on 37.5 inches of legroom, which is better than a lot of small cars in this class, but it's also better than some subcompact crossovers out there as well. So it's not going to feel overly cramped or claustrophobic. Obviously with the lower roofline, the Sportback roofline, you're going to have a bit more of an issue if you have tall passengers sitting back here. They'll most certainly be hitting their head on the headliner, but for smaller kids, this is most certainly going to work. Now, this heat is adjusted most of the way back. It's also somewhere on a recline, and I have about a few inches of legroom remaining, so I don't feel cramped. This is actually a very spacious car, considering the fact that it is a small hatchback and it's built on a small sedan platform here, so really cool stuff. Now, when it comes to seating occupancy, though, you might be able to squeeze in a third person in the center. It's going to be quite the squeeze. I think we'll be fighting for that shoulder room, but that might be okay. I think you can have a third person back here, which is really great to see. The center hump is rather aggressive though, so keep that in mind. Now, when it comes to the other amenities here, I'm not too surprised, but at the same time, I'm a bit disappointed for a car coming in at around $30,000. You're not going to have 2 center mounted air vents on the center console, so not a lot of airflow to this car. I can feel the airflow on my feet, but that's basically it. No USB-C or USB-A outlet, not even 12-volt outlet here. However, to make up for it, because you know I love it, you are going to have a center armrest with 2 cup holders. And then that leads me to the icing on the cake, the cherry on top of that hot fudge sundae, and that's the driving experience. We've already talked about the practicality, best in its class. No other car in this market is going to offer better. That includes the GTI, Mazda 3, Toyota Corolla hatchback, Toyota Prius. No car under $40,000 is better in that regard. Now for this particular trim, it comes in below $35,000. Very sensible, very affordable, even though I do think the Sport Touring Hybrid is worth the price of admission. You get better creature comforts and amenities. You also get the larger infotainment system with Google integration. But regardless of trim, you have a car that has impeccable fuel economy. And all of this together makes this car a no-brainer. They're all major selling points. But what won this car of the year on this channel, was the performance. 200 horsepower, just over 230 pound-feet of torque on paper, should be more exciting and quicker than a Civic Si. Is it more fun than an Si? That's debatable, because the Si has the 6-speed manual, but I'm speaking as an enthusiast there. As a regular consumer, though, the Civic Hybrid is by far the best in this market, under 40 grand, and you shouldn't look anywhere else. Now, in this market, though, it is a 2-horse race. I think it's between this and the Prius. Both hybrid softwares are phenomenal. Both hybrids give you a lot of performance and also refinement. But Honda's hybrid system for this particular car and application and this market is better than the Prius. Now, with the Prius, you have an ECVT, whereas with Honda, you don't actually have a transmission. I'm not going to get into the technicalities on all of that, because that's too much for this review. But because of that, you don't have the droning. You don't have to worry about having a car with that rubber band effect. In fact, this car is very smooth under heavier accelerations. And it's a car that does simulate the gear shifts quite well and naturally, where it almost feels like a traditional automatic being paired with this engine. But also you get the electric propulsion. So you receive a lot of benefits here by going with the hybrid model over a full gas-powered version of the Civic. And that's where I think the Civic is the winner. The Civic Hybrid is your only choice, even within the Honda lineup. And taking a deeper dive into this, because it's not just straight line speed, that's kind of boring to talk about. It's the platform for this generation, which I have discussed at great lengths over the past, 2-3 years now. There's a lot of torsion rigidity. It's very refined. And in sport mode, there's some stiffness to the suspension. There's also a decent amount of weight to the steering. And with that, you get some engagement. And the fact that this car is not boring, it's not sedated, it's not numb, it's not lacking and leaving more to be desired, is why the Civic Hybrid is one of my favorite cars right now on the market, regardless of class, regardless of market, because this car just gives you everything you want. You have the practicality, especially with the hatchback. You have the fuel efficiency, you have the affordability, you have the performance. And by checking off all those boxes, no other car that I can think of right now, no other car that I have featured under $48,000 can boast the same. Now, on back roads like I'm on right now, it has a nice planted feel to the road. It's not going to be a direct competitor to the Volkswagen GTI, but it's very similar to a Mazda 3 in that way. And because of this, because it has the handling capabilities, that's where it's more exhilarating than a Toyota Prius. The Prius is nice, it's smooth, it's comfortable, but it's not sporty. It's not a car that's going to put a smile on your face necessarily. Much better than the prior generation. But Honda has a car that in some ways almost feels like an automatic version of the SI. And that's where I think enthusiasts, journalists, and everyone else in between has really loved this car and adapted to it very quickly. And I think in prior model years, prior generations, we wouldn't have said that. And for good measure, let's get on the highway here. I'm currently in sport mode. Let's see what this 2-liter hybrid 4-cylinder can provide us. Entering the corners, it feels so planted too. Just hugs the corners on throttle. I can safely merge onto the highway. Phenomenal, phenomenal. And remember, this is a car that comes in under $35,000. And this right here is why, to everyone who messages me saying, you know, my son's looking for a new car, my grandmother's looking for a new car. They don't need a crossover. They're just looking for a good point A to point B vehicle, something that's efficient, something that's maybe safe. I always come back to the Honda Civic, whether it's a sedan or hatchback, because this is going to be a great long-term car, great long-term ownership car, because with that fuel efficiency, you're going to get your money back, or at least you're stretching the dollar just a bit more. And it's because of that, with the efficiency, with the performance, it checks off all those boxes. And that's why right now, the way things are looking with 4 months remaining in 2025, this is going to be a repeat year for the Honda Civic. This is going to be car of the year here, because right now there is no one else offering a package quite like this, that's offering value quite like this. And that's why I think the Honda Civic is the best choice, but also a car worth considering heading into 2026. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this quick review for the 2026 Honda Civic Hatchback Hybrid Sport. If you did, please like, comment, share, and subscribe for more, and I will see you guys next time.